Everybody. I'm Eric Torchon, so I'm the co-chair of this HR working group with the French Chamber of Commerce. And together with my co-chair, Fabien Tao, which is somewhere nearby, we're very delighted to welcome you tonight for a special workshop on a very, very hot topic, CSR to ESG. So what does it mean? So we have two wonderful speakers. Not anyone from France tonight. One is from Norway and the other one is from China. So we're very delighted to welcome them. So first, Heidi Berg from Norway. She's going to make a presentation. And then Dalia Gong from China, but from a French company, Arkema, will follow through. So without any further ado.
Thank you very much, Eric. And thank you everyone for coming and everyone online. I guess I can see, like if I'm here, they should see me okay. So thank you for inviting me. I think I will spend about 20 minutes. I hope to get some discussion after the second presentation as well. So I'll try and be a bit quick. First, my agenda, I'll say a little bit about myself and DI Asia Base and our ESG services. And then I'll talk a bit about the concept of SDG, CSR, ESG. So this is kind of this acronym world. There's so many short words, and I think it's important for those of us in the field that we actually define them. Regulations, I'm focusing on the regulations in Europe, but I'll also mention what's happening in China, because that's what, in my position, this is my main area of focus. What is happening on the regulation side, and then what does it mean for European companies and their partners in China? And I want to dive into four main areas I see where you, and I'm assuming most of you, are working as in the HR field in some capacity. So I want to go into the four areas where I think you should be aware that there are big movements happening. So first, DI Asia Base and what we do on ESG. So DI is the Confederation of Danish Industries. And in a way, it's like the Danish chamber in Denmark. So it's one of the most powerful organizations in Denmark with 20,000 companies as members. And they do the lobbying towards the government in Denmark, and they do the lobbying towards Brussels, which means they're very, very up to date on regulations that are happening in Europe. And DI Asia Base is the Chinese small kind of arm out here helping DI members in China, and has been doing that for 20 years. And I guess it's a little bit similar to the setup here. We also have like a shared office facility and do outsourced HR and finance services for medium-sized Danish companies here. And because we now see that the need for ESG understanding and support also outside the EU is growing, we are developing this service area. So I just recently joined to develop this. Of course, together then with the team in Denmark that are working with ESG. And this is important, right? I wouldn't be here if I was here only interested in talking with Danish companies. The entity we have here is a commercial entity. So we are happy to also work with and collaborate with other European companies, and particularly in the area of ESG and sustainability, because the synergies, this is an area where everyone needs to lift the competency, right? So if we as European companies work together, it's a benefit for everyone. That's our attitude in this area. So very short about myself. I'm Norwegian. The Norwegian community is very small, so it's nice to be able to also work in a Danish company here. The community here in China is very small. My education is in business at Norwegian University NHH and University of St. Gallen. And I started working with ESG reporting in 2010 in Norway in the ESG investment fund, which now bells should ring that this is not actually a new concept. It's been around, but we were very few who talked about it back when I was in Norfund, starting from 2010. Well, I'm GRI Certified Sustainability Professional, and GRI is Global Reporting Initiative. Also, and the reason I put it up, this is what we used when I was there, and it's still the leading ESG reporting framework. And I've been 5 years here in China. So that was short about that. Then we have this, there's so many acronyms, right? And you can get very dizzy with all of these. So I'll try and give you some of the key ones. And I had to put up this one, a new one that came last week, PPMFLR, also a European acronym, prohibiting products made with forced labor in the union market regulation. So yeah, it's crazy. And that's kind of my job to try and keep track of this. To simplify and also to kind of say a bit about the legacy, that this is actually not that new. You can say that history has started way back with SRI, social responsible investments. And it even goes back to like religious investments when Methodists didn't want to invest in alcohol companies. And that approach is, and also a lot of Americans, when they were against the war in Vietnam, they said, we don't want to invest in companies that are active in the war in Vietnam. So this is very much exclusion focused, saying these companies we won't touch, we don't want to invest in them, particularly from the investment side. And this is still in some areas, and it's nice to have a Norwegian example. The Norwegian Sovereign Wealth Fund still operates with an exclusion list. So they assess companies, and if they for some reason don't want to invest in them, they go on the exclusion list, and it's a very powerful one because many other investment companies use it as a reference. And I can tell you that a Chinese company that's on that list is Li Ning. Yeah. Yeah, so, and that of course has to do with production in Xinjiang. So, and other companies will actually say on their, kind of CSR or ESG strategy page, they would say, we use the same exclusion list as NBIM because it's very highly regarded. So these are still they're still in operation, this kind of approach. But then you had the movement towards corporate social responsibility. I would say like 80s, 90s, you saw a lot of this. And then it's more inside the companies doing self-regulation to do more for society and natural environment than what is necessary from regulator side or from a business strategy. And typically, we think about charity and donations, like engaging in your local community or donating to a poor region of your country or another country, or mobilizing your staff to do something. That's this typical CSR. And it's and this is an important point, I think, for being in China. There's a big difference here. In Europe now, you heard this term greenwashing. Some actually see this CSR projects as social washing. Because like, why are you donating if you're not fixing your own supply chain? If you have like problems internally, or even gay rights or equality, if you don't have enough females in your management team, why are you posting big things about donations to the local football club? And I know of cases where there's been internally so the foreign company, Western company with operations in China, where the Chinese operation has said, yes, we're going to do CSR and we're going to, donate a lot to this school. And then they tell the mothership, in the Western company, and they're like, what? That's not what we mean. That's what we were doing in the 90s. But I think it's very important still in China because the Chinese government really, really wants this. So I think this is an area where you need to bridge that understanding that locally in China, this is really, really good thing to do, right? But maybe the headquarters won't see it the same way, or see it as such so important. And now the big trend that's coming is ESG. And ESG is short for environment, social, and governance. And just important note, that doesn't say anything in itself. You can't say, I am good at ESG. I can't be good at environment, right? So try to, when you use the term, it's smart to kind of add a word. Are you talking about ESG reporting? Are you talking about ESG management or investing? Because there is a little bit of confusion. In itself, it doesn't mean anything. What is happening is, and you can kind of say that it's non-financial, right? ESG is like the things that are not coming out as financial numbers in your report, or yeah. And the big trend, particularly in Europe, but also happening in China, is that companies need to report on ESG just like you do for financial numbers. They will be exactly, just like you can't decide yourself where this FAPIAO goes, right? You can't make up your own rules. That's very, very set, and it has to be in every country, right? It will be the same. You cannot calculate your carbon emissions different in company A and company B, for instance. This will be aligned. And this has huge implications. And it also, it's very complex because it's not only like how much carbon emissions, it's also, are we at risk if there's climate change? Will the river flood and our factory be at risk? You have to report on that. And yeah, massive. EU is definitely taking the lead, but China is very much following. So there will be regulations in China for listed companies. It's already in Hong Kong, but China will implement it for listed companies, and the regulation will be very aligned to the European regulation. So that's also important to know that here in this community, we'll talk about it as probably coming from Europe. But if you talk with your suppliers, let's say, because they also have to be part of this journey, for instance, on reducing carbon emissions, you know, you should tell them that this is also aligned with what will happen in China. There'll be price on carbon and all this here as well. And the US is a little bit different, but you have a huge investor community in the US caring about this. So it's a bit it's less regulation, but more investor driven. So, and maybe in the US, the S is also very important, like this Black Lives Matter and inclusion and all that is high on the agenda in the US. So since we are a lot, I guess most here are in French companies or very close to French companies, it's of course the European regulations that are important. And then it's another acronym, right? CSRD, Corporate Social Responsibility Directive. And it's now by law, it will happen. It's decided, signed by Ursula von der Leyen. And it's the background is like the European Green Deal about reducing carbon emissions. And there's also these European pillars of social rights. So there's a directive, which means, okay, you have to report. And I'll come to them. These are actually the front page of the draft of how you report. And then they're like due diligence directive, how to do due diligence, taxonomy. You know, this is a massive thing happening in Brussels. What companies have to report? It will be mandatory for 50,000 European companies starting 20, I'll get to the timeline. But this will hit them directly, and these are the criteria, meaning a lot of big French companies. But it doesn't stop there. Because, for instance, banks, they have to report, and all their customers are part of their reporting. So they are part of their kind of, their ecosystem. So they will start to ask more information from their customers. So immediately they'll start asking about your carbon emissions and reporting. So, it's many more than just these. And the same, because the companies need to reply on the supply chain. So if you are a supplier to a company like this, and that includes Chinese suppliers, because the big French company, let's say, buying in China needs to get the carbon emissions from their supply chain, also if it's in China. So yeah, and then the investors increasingly ask for this, also because they see as more and more risk, right? If you're in a flood-prone or a drought area, yeah. So the timeline is that again, non-financial reporting directive. That's like the old one, which is now replaced by the CSRD. But it will start for the numbers for next year, reporting in 2025. So any one of you in big companies, like this is a lot of work to set up the systems to gather this data. And then there are different definitions, right? But the idea is that even non-EU parent companies with a strong presence in the EU, they will also have to report. So Chinese companies will have to start reporting for the 20, if they're in Europe, large presence in Europe. So yeah, this is massive. And these are the areas for those of you who are not. So this is the E, S, and G, also just to show you everything that's covered. So one thing is climate change with the carbon footprint. And you have natural capital, so it's biodiversity, water stress, pollution and waste, and also like even opportunities, like what are we doing? Are we investing in EV or, in producing clean energy? And then, on the social pillar, and this is of course very relevant for this group. And a lot of this is things that you will have in place already. I think European companies, they work quite well on this, but the reporting will change, right? Because you have to actually use these guidelines for how to report on these issues. Because, there's a lot of, like ISO standards, of course, it's aligned with what you need to do, but the reporting might change a bit. Product liability is part of it. So like privacy and data security, how you treat that. And safety of the products, more like physical products. Then it's, stakeholder opposition and community relations. So that's where I say this charity bit or CSR, it's part of this, the social pillar. And important, of course, it's also supply chain labor standards. So it includes your supply chains. Also social opportunities, and then governance. Governance is a corporate governance, but here you have this ownership. Some of these companies, I like to think of the governance pillar as a lot about transparency. And I think that can be a bit of a challenge in China. In Europe, we're quite used to quite easily figuring out who's the ultimate owner of a company, who sits on the board, how much are they paid, what's their relation to, are they married or whatever. And I think in China, there's some issues this is just different culture on how we have that. And like tax transparency, how much tax is paid. And here we'll have this thing of, if you have a lot of operations in Cayman Islands, and that can pop a red flag on people looking at the ESG report. Like, why do you do that? Yeah, so it's massive what's included. And of course, every company doesn't have to report on everything. But that's also a skill set that's needed to kind of understand what do we have to report on and not. Because compared to financial reporting, if you have an item that you've done some financial, you have to you put it in your accounts. But it's more, not so strict here. So that's a challenge. So these are the standards that they're working on. A new draft is out now. The new draft is 250 pages, and I know I'm talking a lot, so I'll go a bit quicker through. But yeah, the report should be included in the annual report. So of course these are the entities that need to report in Europe. So if you are here, it's you don't have to make the full report if you're the China entity of a French company, but definitely they'll start asking for this kind of information, where they do the assessment that, okay, we need that from China. We need our carbon footprint from China. We need the supply chain assessment from China. And it has to be like you do for financial reporting, they'll have to be reviewed. So like all the PwCs and Ernst & Young are of course very, very happy because there's lots of business coming their way because someone has to check it according to the standards. And it's the responsibility, and that's very clear. It sits with the board of directors. So it goes all the way up, just like the financial report. It's nothing you cannot say like, oh, but that was the marketing department. No, it is the board that owns it. So what are the main implications for the HR area, the way I see it? So there is new reporting, as I've mentioned, related to the S. There will be new information that the HR function has to find and report and have a system, because this will be every year. It's not a one-time, it's not a one-off thing, right? It's every year. There'll be need for training in the organization, definitely. And then there'll be new positions. How do you find these people? And I think that's something that's very interesting to discuss, because these are new positions. Where do you find the people with the right competency? And it will be very different from company A to company B, because some will have more challenges on the S and some on the E, and that's different skill sets. And also then the young generation, because there's movement there, and I am guessing many of you have seen that. So this is there's this, and that's the last draft. The new draft was actually out this week. But this is this standard, so the draft for your own workforce, and it's 50 pages on your own workforce. what you have to report, very detailed, down to, and I found this one, I put it in as a little example, where you have to report, not all companies, but some companies, they have to report on report on the pay gap. So you have to take the highest pay minus the lowest pay, divided on the median employee annual total remuneration, excluding the highest. So this is just an example how extremely detailed this is, right? This regulation is not like you have to say something about your pay condition. No, it's down to how do you calculate the pay gap. That's the organization that has been tasked by, so it's a working group that has been tasked by EU to make this document. So it's a Belgium-based organization that has worked them out. European financial, no, well, it's a working group. I can't remember. Yeah, see, even I can't remember all of them. Yeah, and then training needs in the organization. So all the way up to the board of directors, right? What they need to be upskilled to know about this. You know, it's their responsibility to understand how the process is being run and all this. The management of the ESG areas, you know, whether it's renewable energy or the reporting, training, and then of course there's the technical training in like how to maintain the lower carbon emissions. Because one thing is, you know, you hire in some consultants and they come in and they help you to say this factory, you know, you can reduce your emissions by this and that. But it doesn't help, you know, you can't have consultants in there all the time. I think we all know that. So that's also this training of people in operations on how to run the machinery in better ways, which I think in China particularly, this kind of thinking is necessary. Like I say the example, you know, it doesn't help if you have the AC on and you open the window today, right? That drains energy, and the IE has to know that. Kind of down to that level. And supply chain engagement, right? Also, you need to reduce the carbon emissions from your supply chain. So you have to be able to tell your suppliers, you know, why they should do this. And you know, that's a new way of engaging often. Yeah, and I found this one quite interesting about some of the skill sets that will be in demand. Yeah, and then the new roles and positions. And I just found this. This is the source is World Economic Forum. I think it dropped out. Yeah, oh, there, up this there, and very interesting. So they say, you know, 10 top fastest growing jobs. All these other, well, it's fintech, it's data analysts, it's robotics, all this tech stuff. But it's the sustainability specialists on number 2. Yeah, and the ones that are going out. So, and what does a sustainability specialist mean in company A and company B? That's probably quite different. And I also just looked on LinkedIn, and I searched for sustainability director in worldwide, and I got 12,000 results. And on ESG, just ESG, 25,000 results. Since I don't work in HR, I don't know if that's like a lot or not, but it's significant movement in this area. And you can see, yeah, and I think you can see a lot of the big companies, right? And of course it knows I'm in China, so I guess that's why it's showing those across the field. And here, so SGS, like consulting company, of course, in the area, and building related, it's all over, and in Budweiser, yeah. So this is definitely coming, and yeah, also, no, that's, no, I can't, Lenovo, yeah. So that's coming, and then the last trend, my last point, Generation Z is also concerned about this, which means that the young people will actually want to work places. So it's becoming an advantage to have, you know, to use it also for recruitment. And I know, yeah, it's a bit small here, but here's a study from Deloitte, you know, that it's starting to impact their career life. And here have already changed or plan to change job, industry due to climate concerns, are pushing their 50%, pushing their employee to drive change on environmental issues. And then here's another study, the source is full now, but this 51% would take a job with a lower salary if the company was environmentally responsible. And here also for young workers, sustainability jobs mean both those directly related to fields, and so it's not, you can go and work with a EV company, or you can be in a function inside a company for change. And what was really funny, I was putting together this and I was thinking, I don't know what the situation is in China. And then I got an email, very timely, because today, just before, and unfortunately I couldn't see it, but they had a webinar, Shaping the Future of the Workplace, and this is for China, and demands for greater ESG accountability are now considered a viable alternative for Chinese young people. And I don't know the source. This popped up in my email 2 days ago. Yeah, so I think there are big challenges ahead. So that's what we are here for in the ISO base, is particularly to help European companies, I could say, on the training side, right? Because that's where we see we can help us more from an industry organization and develop courses and on the field, and also the partner services, like who to go to, because no one can know the same person cannot do supply chain checks on human rights as installing solar panels on your roof, right? So knowing who can help with what. And then I want to use the opportunity with a little advertisement for those of you who want to learn about sustainability. I'm a trained facilitator on a really good platform for understanding the sustainability thinking related to ESG. And we're doing a demo on July 13th. So if anyone is interested, it's a very fun, it's like a training session with a simulation game where you're in a team and you actually compete about who can have the best sustainable strategy for this company. So that's my QR and my email. So please feel free to connect. And thank you.
So, good night, good evening, everybody. My name is Daria Gong. I'm coming from Arkema. Arkema is a French company, of course. And I'm in charge of corporate communication and marketing in Arkema China. And I have been working in Arkema since 2005. Well, very quick introduction of myself, and thanks a lot. Heidi just shared a lot of regulations related to ESG. I remember we just talked about the difference between CSR and ESG. Actually, in China, in Arkema, we still call it CSR. However, CSR really covers all the aspects of ESG. Arkema is listed. We are listed in the stock market in Paris. So every year we will have our universal registration documents who disclose all the information regarding all the aspects of ESG. Okay, before my introduction of CSR, I'd like to introduce Arkema. Arkema, our ambition is to be a pure specialty materials leader, offering the most innovative and sustainable solutions to address our customers' current and future challenges. Our positioning, innovative materials for a sustainable world, is centered around the three big segments: adhesive solutions, advanced materials, and coating solutions. Our sales revenue last year of the group reached 11.5 billion, and among which 91% is dedicated to the specialty materials I just highlighted, and covering very diversified markets, and with balanced geographical regions in Europe, North America, in Asia, and together with the rest of the world. Well, sustained with the collective energy of more than 21,000 employees worldwide, we operate 148 plants in 55 countries, and we have 16 R&D centers with 1,800 researchers. And here is the history of China. As I just mentioned, Arkema actually was separated from Groupe Total in 2004, then completed the spin-off in 2006 while we were listed in stock market in Paris. And you can see in China, earlier in 1984, we have already started the business. And then later, almost every 2 or 3 years, we got acquisition of the new business line, or the launch, or the expansion of the new product line. So today, Arkema China become the second largest national market of the group. So you can see the Chinese market really plays a pivotal role for our business of the group. And I'm sorry, there is no map here. Maybe it's too light, we cannot see. Yeah, I can see in the screen there. There are 10 industrial sites in China, including the largest platform of Arkema Group, our Changshu Industrial Platform. And there are 2 R&D centers, the Changshu R&D Center and the Asia Technical Center for our Baltic, located in Shanghai. And I'd like to invite you to watch a video before the discussion of CSR.
关于未来，
Sorry, this is Chinese version.
不管何时何处想象，未来都在与自然互动，而我们是构筑可持续世界的基理。 我们的遇见，收获了绿色的能源。我们的灵感丰富着物种的再造，我们的创新预料特殊资源独有的分量，为邂逅绿意盎然，记住生活的安全感。 我们所感受的，都是大自然力量的馈赠。我们所坚持的，都是为无限可能创造出另一种可能。以多元的方式触碰，是下一次改变的开始。 以包容的姿态携手，是新一轮变革的回响。海就在你的身边，那是未来的模样。
Well, thanks for watching. Our corporate video just demonstrates our commitment to a sustainable future. As we all know today, we are facing the enormous and ongoing economic, social, environmental challenges. So to address these challenges, Arkema will aim to generate a sustainable and responsible growth for our business and to provide our customers with sustainable and innovative solutions while contribute to the sustainable development goals defined by United Nations. So we practice our CSR through 3 major commitments: offer sustainable solutions driven by innovation, act as a responsible manufacturer, and cultivate a position as an employer of choice and seek an open dialogue with stakeholders. So our CSR approach is centered around the 5 major priorities: sustainable solutions offering circular economy, climate plan, safety and the environment, employees, and the relations with stakeholders. First, the commitment. We focus on sustainable product innovations. We assess the sustainability of a product mix, including the portfolio of the product and also the innovation projects through our program, Ashmead. And the last year, you can see 86% of our sales were assessed by this program, and our target is to reach 100% till 2024, and among which 53% of impact sales were significantly contributed to SDG, and our target is to raise to 65% by 2030. There are 5 innovations and research platforms in Arkema. I will give you more details in the next slide. And through these platforms, we drive our innovation of a product mix. So last year, 92% of our patents were filed relating to sustainable development. And in China, we filed 10 patents and recorded more than 10 inventions. Besides, we collaborate to promote a circular economy by reducing the environmental footprint and to meet the expectations of our customers and also with our end users. And for that, we developed the technology like eco-designed. And you can see here, 10% of our sales are coming from bio-based products. For example, our Wilson PA11, it's derived from actually a castor bean. I just bring the kit to explain you why it's bio-based. The first, the original is coming from castor plant. Then we get the castor bean, then to make a castor oil, then to make amino 11, and finally they got our high performance polymer. That's our Wilson P-Box 11. And also, you know, actually a castor plant is mainly located to India. So in order to help the farmers in India to plant the castor trees in a sustainable way, we also launched a program which is called the Pragati, together with our partners. And that's from the beginning of the product. And also through our program, Virtual Cycle, we aim to create the loop, you know, for the collection and the regeneration of the Wilson P-Box high performance polymers. And for that, we have acquired a company who is dedicating to recycling, which is called Agiplast in 2021. And thanks to it, Arkema became the first fully integrated high performance polymer manufacturer who can offer both bio-based products and recycled materials. And also, we are strengthening the partnerships to build the circular flows by implementing a product life cycle assessment. And you can see here some figures. Last year, 41% of our sales were covered by LCA, and our target is to reach 50% by 2024. Zebra partnerships, Arkema participated to this program, which is called Zero Waste Blade Research. In using our Illum, this is thermoplastic liquid resin, the first 100 wind turbine blade was created in cooperation with our partners. Okay. Well, I just mentioned that there are 5 innovation platforms in Arkema. Actually, the target is to meet, I just mentioned the challenges today. So it's include natural resource management, new energies, lightweight materials and design, living comfort and home efficiency, as well as electronic solutions. And we invested 300 million euros allocated to R&D and 700 million euros devoted to industrial projects. Frankly speaking, we have never invested so intensively for our future sustainable business. But you can see our contribution and our determination for the sustainability. Okay, we are implementing and facilitating circularity. Just I introduced the in raw materials in the post-industrial recycling and also the post-consumers. For example, another raw materials, essential surfactants, it's up to 100% plant-based. They also derived from castor bean. Okay, and it's eco certified. It can be used in eco designed products. And for the recycling, I just mentioned our 100% wind turbine and blade made from our resin products. And this shoes is running. Actually, it's just like the shoes today. It's all running and 100% recycled. If you are interested, then you can go to the running. I'm not a KOI of running, but it's really comfortable and 100% recycled. It's made from our products, reels and pea bags. And if you are interested to buy, you can just pay a monthly rental or one shot. And every month you can return the shoes to running, get one new pair. Okay, the second commitment regarding the active as a responsible manufacturer. We take action for the climate and the environment. Arkema aims to be among the best safety performance in the industry. You can see our target to 2030 to reduce the injury frequency rate for people less than or equal 0.8 per million work hours, and to reduce process event frequency rate less than 2. And here is the performance in last year. Globally, for the people, we got 0.9, and in China, 0.1, much lower than our target. And the process globally 2.8, and in China, 0.8, also much lower than our target. We're proud of that. And the climate, we keep global warming in line with the Paris Agreement. Arkema has reinforced our commitment to decarbonization through a new climate plan aligned with 1.5 degree SBT trajectory through the entire value chain. And for that, we have launched a 48.5% reduction in GHG greenhouse gas emissions from scope 1 and 2, and reduce 54% in GHG emissions from scope 3 versus 2019. And also we further reduce the environmental footprint of the group's activities. The target until 2030 to reduce 65% in VOC, 60% in COD, and to reduce 25% in net energy purchasing based on 2012. Actually, just last year in July, we have announced our commitment to the decarbonization to align with 1.5 degree SBT trajectory instead of 2 degree that we had announced previously. And along with that, we have now announced our ambition to reduce 46% GHG emission until 2030. However, if you look at the performance here, for the scope 3, we have already reached minus 49%. That's why in May this year, again, we have renewed our climate plan and to reduce 48.5% for the scope 1 and 3, and to reduce 54% for the scope 3. And this target is certified by SBTi, Science-Based Targets Initiatives. Actually, Heidi might know it's very strict for SBTi certification. Yeah, it's very strict, and the only company who is committed to be aligned with 1.5 degree, you can get certified. That's the one criteria. Okay, and we also reinforce our commitment to the climate through Arkema Energy. This is an essential global program and being rolled out in every subsidiary of Arkema with the target with aim to optimize our energy efficiency. And the second photo, you can see some of our sites is powered by renewable energy. Here is the solar power. Arkema also is working on the purchase of green electricity. And we have optimized the steam trap management worldwide with the target to reduce 75% for the steam trap failure rate. And in China, I can give you some example. For example, in China, I just mentioned the largest platform, Changshu platform, there is a R&D center. And for the R&D center facilities, we have worked together with our partner, Aquila, last year to launch a program to optimize the HVAC system in using digital twin technology and AI. As of May this year, we already achieved a 10% year-to-year reduction in the electricity consumption. And we invest 400 million euros in our plants by 2030 to meet the challenge of decarbonization. Well, safety always in mind. Safety is Arkema's DNA. So we integrated the safety as a menu through our essential programs launched in 2011. And we just renewed these essentials this year to cover the day-to-day works, operations, and the risk management, working and driving. Optimal program encompasses the entire water management activities across the group. And also for the VOC reduction, here is an example in one site in France, with the connection of a van to the site's thermal oxidizer, and also with more efficient operating stability, the plant was able to reduce 20% VOC reductions in 2021 compared with 2019. Well, here are more examples regarding the safety, excellence in safety and the environment. Through the leveraging digital in manufacturers, through our processes. And also, Arkema steps up its action to protect the biodiversity and joins Act for Nature International. I don't know if you have heard about this. This is NGO who is devoted to protecting, enhancing, and restoring biodiversity. And we also manage our activities with robust processes through IMS, Arkema Integrated Management System. This is an audit system developed by ourselves and combining audits related to safety, hygiene, environment, and quality. Last year, there were 91% of our sites were audited by this system, and our target is to reach 100% by 2025. Well, the third commitment, we engage with our people, our employees. We respect the diversity. Frankly speaking, diversity is the driving force for a company's innovation and sustainability in future. And we got target to 2030 for the female executives to reach 30% while versus 26% last year. And for the non-French executives to reach 50% and the last year 40%. But frankly speaking, I don't think this is an issue in China because the French executive in China is a minority. Well, And 82% of our employees are actively engaged and confident in the development of the group, according to the employee satisfaction survey. And we are continuing to be listed in top employee in 4 countries, including China. And regarding the philanthropy and the patronage, Akima, we are focusing on the D&I and education. For example, in China, Kimartic Green Innovation Class launched in 2016. And early in 2002, we launched a Common Ground program in order to reinforce the relationships between the community and our local sites. Every year, 80% of our sites carries out more than 1,000 local actions. And in China, 100% sites are actively engaged. TFS, I don't know if you have heard about it. Akima was engaged in initiatives together for sustainability since 2015. It's with the suppliers in our value chain, and this TFS aims to develop the social responsibility throughout the chemical industry service chain together with our suppliers. And last year, in Akima, 75% of our purchase from the relevant suppliers were covered by a TFS assessment. And our target is to reach 80% in 2025. Our local initiatives, actually in China, we have launched a lot of local CSR initiatives under our local CSR brand. Green Life for a Sustainable Future. Actually, this is an upgrade this year. Originally, we got our Better Life, Better Future launched in 2016, just to echo our new positioning, new branding launched at the end of 2021. And the local initiatives include like Chem Art Green Innovation Class, Clean Water Project, and with the participation of a Butterfly Football Cup open to public day. We also launched our China Volunteer Association in 2017 and launched the Women at Akima China Committee this year. And initiated by Akima, we have established a Responsible Care Changshu Amoeba Committee in our Changshu industry zone. And today there are 40 members from the neighboring companies. Our aim is to share and also practice the activities of the responsible care. And every year we receive the CSR awards from China. For HR team, especially, we have organized and launched a CSR activity for HR team, and with a little bit less than 70 employees from grade level HR, the whole team, we have been to Yunnan to continuing our Akima long-term CSR project, Kim Art Green Innovation Class, I just mentioned, we launched in 2016. And today, this program has already been rolled out in our sites who are located in Zhangjiagang, Jiangsu Province, in Hebei, Henshui, and also in Guizhou, Rongjiang, in Yunnan, Menzi, and this year we have been to Yunnan, Luxi. Okay, and through the classes prepared by our employees, volunteers, we hope that we can help the young students to acquire the knowledge from the different sources regarding safety in your daily life, the environmental protection, English, IT creation, innovation, circular economy, science inquiry, etc. And so as to boost their awareness, their awareness in the development for a sustainable future. And a lot of our employees, volunteers, are engaged in this program. And of course, this year we have also donated some printers and 30 recycled computers to the 11 schools in this region. Okay. It's blocked. Well, as we are today HR workshop, so I'd like to share with you as well employee branding, which is very important to our HR team. It matters fundamentally company branding. So taking the opportunity of a top employee certification, we celebrated internally and also launched the communication through the different channels. And through our Phoenix project, we have strengthened partnership with the targeted schools in order to attract our young talents. And we encourage the participation of our employees in the different CSR activities I just introduced. Actually, through this kind of CSR activities, it can really largely boost and enhance our employees' sense of belonging of the company and to be proud to work for the company. And as today, we are living under an era of social media. Everybody can speak for Arkema. So, what happened? Okay. Okay, that's it. Well, so we encourage the people to speak out, to voice out from our top management to our employees. And also through there is a technical issue. It's coming back. Don't worry. We are almost there at the end. Yeah, I just want to introduce you. And also through our... Est-ce que tu peux cliquer au-dessus, s'il te plaît? Merci. OK. Now, il y a un petit vidéo là. Yeah, product day. And through product day, we encourage the people to inspire our innovative materials and to make them to be the ambassador for the promotion of our innovative materials as well. And also through the employee vlog, we tell the personal stories in order to inspire the others. Est-ce que tu peux cliquer sur la vidéo? Yeah. To inspire the others, frankly speaking, it at the same time can increase the visibility of our talents internally and also externally. Well, and our sustainability performance were recognized by some of our rating agencies, like here an example, Dow Jones Sustainability Index. Arkema was listed at the 3rd place of Dow Jones Sustainability Index last year and the 2nd place in the European list for the chemical sector. And also, Arkema is listed in under CAC 40 ESG since the very beginning of launch. Well, okay, no problem. Don't worry. I think we are coming at the end. I just have the one last slide just to show you if you are interested to have more information of Arkema, of our CSR, you can go to our website, to our WeChat, because we do a lot of communication internally and also externally. Okay, thank you all.
Do anyone have any questions? So I have one for both of you, actually, if I may. Yeah, it's about the talents working in the HR community, corporate HR community, or the consultancies. What are the profiles of these talents? Are they from a legal background, or a communication background, or HR background, or a scientific one? What is the split between men and the women, the age group in China?
Yeah, is this working? First, I just want to say it was so fascinating because I think we just got the presentation of like a best in class what a big company can do when it comes to ESG. So that was just congratulations.
Thank you.
You know, I have so much, but I think of course we all have to think they're a huge company and everyone cannot do as much. But that was so great. On the profiles, there's one clear trend, and I see it both in China and in Europe. Women. there's quite a lot of women that are interested in this field, and among my friends that are in Europe that are like head of ESG and CSR, there's actually quite a lot of women. On the technical side, there's actually a lot of engineers that have a lot of relevant competence, because it is about implement, like a lot of your products, right? Most of this should be about really changing the product, like making the aircraft more sustainable, making the wind blade more sustainable. So there's a lot of technical competency that we know about already. When it comes to the reporting side, the auditors, the people in the financial side are really getting into this field. But I think one should be wary, because they like what we saw on the last slide. They like to make the ratings, and the ratings are great, but you can see all the work that is inside it first, right? So I think we will have to see the real experts are people that can work with the products, who understand how can we make this more energy efficient. And then I think we see a lot of younger people who from an early, like this sustainability thinking is more of a, you know, they've grown up with seeing the challenges. But there's definitely a lot of upskilling needed, right?
Thank you, Heidi. Actually, as you know, Arkema is a French chemical company, and you know, for the chemical sector, this is a man-dominant industry. That's why I just mentioned that. I think you can recall we have the target to 2030 to reach 30%, only 30%, but still already to the chemical industry, it's ambitious, 30% for the female executives, and also it's quite you know, upside. For the HR team, definitely we are not a man dominant, and that's the female dominant areas. And for the profile, exactly, because today with the limited time, I have not to introduce you. Actually, in Arkema, especially in Great China, we have a lot of practice internally, especially since last year. We have set up our China level CSR committee based on the three commitments I just introduced. One related to our products innovation, led by our R&D director, and the second, actor as a responsible manufacturer, is led by our operation excellence director, and the third one is regarding you know, the more related to social part, and I take the leadership of this part. And under that, there are a strong CSR network across all the region, all the organization, in the plant, in our BU business unit, in the functional department, and every department or sites organized and discussed about their practice and also KPI, what they are going to do. So for the HR team, it's the same. We have had a lot of discussions regarding what I can do related to CSR, because you know, HR team, we will not invent our materials. We are more or less related to the operations and also for the social part. But still, if we are in the office, we can do, for example, you can reduce the temperature by volunteering 1 degree, so that to save the energy, etc. I just put a very simple example. So frankly speaking, we are really promote culture of CSR in the company, and everybody have the awareness and the volunteer to do by themselves.
I just want to follow up on that, because I've also seen another interesting here in China or Shanghai particularly, a lot of the Chinese that really understand sustainability, they've worked in Nordic companies. It's quite fascinating. And I think it's because, like, if you worked in a company in your team, you know, then you learn about the different practices, you see the holistic.
Exactly.
So I do think a lot of the talent base will be from leading European companies, because this topic is so big. So being inside one of those companies, there'll be some great talents, you know, and they'll come and steal them from you now because now they know everyone in your team are very good on sustainability. But I think that's where to look for them. Yeah. And I think that's being a European, I think that's a great way of sharing, you know, the European companies in China play an important role in, you know, skilling people who are then available in the Chinese marketplace.
I do agree with Heidi. You just mentioned, you know, Generation Z. I still remember I recruited a girl, a lady, to my team. Upon the interview, she raised the question to me, what Arkema is doing regarding the sustainability. That was almost the first time I got someone, the candidate, to raise the question directed to me during the first interview. So
yeah, I had the same. I was doing a Norwegian business school called BI. They have an MBA program with Fudan, so it's called BI Fudan MBA. And I was interviewing candidates for the MBA program, and two of the people I interviewed, so they're for the MBA program, so they're, you know, around 30 something, and they said, we want to do an MBA at the Nordic Connected university because we know there's sustainability in the curriculum, and I want to like pivot my career to work more sustainable. So I do think this is popping up, right? So,
exactly.
Yeah.
That's right.
Do we have any other question in the room or even online? Yeah.
Ask one question. Thank you for your presentation. My name is Lucille. I work in also in a French company called Eden. So we propose, yeah.
We have the Aquila project.
Yes, yeah. So
it's on the Eden.
Yeah. So very happy to be here and listen to to your presentations. I just have one question because I think your presentation was very impressive in the sense that Arkema has done a lot of activities and achievements in CSR and ESG. So my question is how, in your organization, how did you manage this achievement? Because, you know, you have the headquarters, you have the business unit, and it's in such a big scope. How from the HQ that you can drive your BUs to together for the ESG development? That is a very practical question because now we're doing also ESG, but we are encountering some challenges to make BU leaders understand and then to really motivate them for the ESG performance. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
I try to answer your question. Actually, in Arkema Group, in the headquarters, we have a department dedicated to CSR, which is called the DDD, Département de Développement Durable. And under this department, I just introduced the three commitments. So there are the team, including the responsible people who is manage the three commitments. I just take an example for the innovation. There is someone we need to work together with R&D. We need together with BU to identify the products. And the second is mainly for the operational excellence related to our industry operation. And there are also the special team leader led by DDD to operate with all the sites. And I just introduced a lot of a program listed. We do have the KPI, but sorry, I cannot give you so much details. I've already disclosed the information, some figures that I can do. And also, they should define a lot of process regarding the operations. And for the social part, I introduced also, there are some common group level projects, but locally in China, we also can develop our local initiatives to come to in line with the group strategy. Okay, so we do both. Globally, we do have the KPI, we do have the organization, And locally, I just mentioned as well, we do have the relative correspondent network to match the global organization to respond. Because I think a lot of MNC, it's the same. We have the headquarters, we have the global BU, and we have the local BU. We have the headquarters who is leading the operational excellence, but locally we also have the team who is in charge of operational excellence. So globally, we have the very clear strategy KPI, and the local we can follow, but we can also develop our initiatives. And sometimes I just mentioned that we do better than global. We can, China, we can set up an example to share our best practice here locally to global.
Just a general thing, I think one should try working with any kind of partner in China. I think one should try to make it into a good business case. And a lot of on the building side, it has to do with saving of electricity and saving on water, and actually calculating how much this building can save. Of course, it's easier in Europe because electricity prices are through the roof. So having energy efficient buildings and production is very clear, you know. But I see from experience working also with supply chain partners that, you know, you have to show them that they can make money on it. It's very, I think that's a, you know, you don't get far in China if you just come with a moral thing or you say this is EU regulation, right? It's good for the planet. That's not how your supply chain or, you know, building owner, you know, but to trying to find the value, if that is that they can have higher, well, one thing is, of course, the lower electricity bill. And I do think electricity prices in China will also go up because the government knows this, right? And there's a lot of waste of energy in buildings and productions and manufacturing. But, you know, it's, I think trying also to really show you can save, you can get customers that will pay more. And the savings are in manufacturing, and that, like, probably you showed some of like water treatment. It's quite some of the cases on running machinery more efficiently, like how much electricity do you save by cleaning your water properly. And I'm not an engineer, I don't understand exactly how this works, but I think looking for those is a good idea in China.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. And my name is Leo, and I come from a French company, which is the FSO, which is a consultant company. As you say, well, first of all, thank you very much for your presentation. C'est super, vous êtes super élégant. Ouais, donc voilà. For you, as your presentation, because you are doing for the industrial, you have a platform. So based on your products, you can create this value of ESG. But for us, we do the solution. And for the firm, like this consultant company, how can we create our culture or our value about ESG?
I don't know which kind of a solution you provide.
Okay. Actually, we do the solution for the industrial, for example, the chemistry and the chemistry, the food, the beverage. Yeah, generally like this field. Yeah.
I think at first you need to study this kind of industry, because food industry a little bit different from the pure traditional chemistry, but still every industry, as a consultant, I would like to say, first you need a study on your customer, what they need, what they expect, and what they are practicing, ESG or CSR. I do believe every manufacturer is doing some kind of ESG today. Then you can propose your solution.
And what I like to say to like smaller companies, and they're like, what should we do? And it's actually, you don't have to, if you're doing services and you don't have, you know, you don't have your own carbon emissions and you don't have a supply chain that's making textiles in Xinjiang or something, don't worry about ESG for your company. Like, you know, and I think that's a problem now, because there's this hype and the small companies asking me, and I'm like, you know, you don't have to report on this. You don't have to, you know, don't worry so much. But just like you said, look for business opportunities, right? For instance, like science-based targets, right? You can go online, you see which companies have science-based targets. So when, and then you think, okay, and they have some industrial plants, we can help them reduce their energy use. That will help them towards their target. And when you sell your solution, you say, this will help you towards your target. So I think really, see it as an opportunity, and but not worry about it internally.
Yeah.
Mm.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I can.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Laura Pu. I'm working at the Sodexo as a Greater China HRD. So I actually very much appreciate the Heidi's presentation about the evolution of the ESG. It's actually pretty much well known that it's in China. It's pretty new concept, right, for the ESG. And I think I still want to touch the base about the talents again. I mean, if we are looking for the talent in this area, in this, the ESG areas. It's really much kind of, I don't know, I don't really feel that there's such kind of particular talents in the market. Other than, we hire, for example, in my previous employer as well as Sodexo, if we're looking for the ESG position, the opening, we still hire mostly from those kind of fresh grad. Fresh grad is like particularly for those overseas universities. They really like a lot of those kind of courses related to ESG sustainability, as well as China now. I think is gradually also involve some of this kind of studies in the university. But I think my question is that if we really looking for some like experience ESG specialists, is there any way, particularly Heidi, you are like a consultant, right? Focus consultancy, and then how can we really like chain up or like a credential of such kind of subject for the talents in regards to sustainability? Yeah.
I think this is a huge challenge because there is very few, and also because it's such a wide area. So if you go and you search for ESG accreditation courses, they are mostly related to financial analysts. Because they are the ones, if you go one slide back and you look at all the ESG ratings, so inside all this S&P and that, you have the people that, and also on the investor side, and they have to be able to read the report, the CSR report, and it's, CSR, ESG, you can call it what you want, the report, right? But to analyze the data and give it a rating and understand. And those areas, there are accredited courses, some international ones, and you can do them online. But of course, that's very, very different from being operational on ESG, because those are number crunchers, and they know a methodology and they know the trends on that. So no, that is actually a huge challenge. And I think also even the universities, that there are some, of course, some leading universities in Europe that have very good now kind of more senior educational programs on sustainability. But I also don't see like, a lot. So yeah, it's a challenge. And that's also why we in the Aisha base, we are really focusing on developing training, because we see this is such a big need.
I'd like to suggest that actually we can look at the internal resource. That's one opportunity as well, because for example, Akima, we are a manufacturer, so we have the HAC department. So some talents regarding ESG are really coming from HAC department, and also for example from R&D. For example, I just taken the recent example. We are training facilitator to do the climate fresque. I don't know if you have heard about climate fresque, very popular in France. And we try to train the facilitator from our internal resource. And two ladies from R&D centers, they do it very well. So
then
we can try to train our people.
You can steal her employees.
laws and social and type of things, and it's really like very very much technical and very I think it's professional oriented, other than just allow the people, train the people doing the area, right? Like learning by doing. So my question is that it's really somewhere. Is there somewhere that in China, like you really have such kind of certified that type of things? Yeah. So that's I think that's the question in China.
Yeah, and there isn't. No, but they just, the MBAs are still like having one elective on sustainability, and then it depends very much on that professor, whether that professor comes from marketing or comes from sustainable production. So I think it's very, and it's not the full, it's just part of the MBA programs. And I've tried to look at different MBA programs with the universities here, and it's still not. So and it's actually the same in Europe. Like there's very little kind of good certified, because it's also, this area is very, and floating, right? What is it? So you can have certified, there'll be accountants who will be certified in auditing an ESG or CSR report. That will come, because that's something, again, they'll follow just like you have auditors that are certified, right? But again, they're number guys. They follow is the FAPIA, right? kind of people. Yeah. So.
Okay, ladies, maybe I want to add something. Actually, my job is in a strategy role in a large corporate, but in my part-time, I also do talent services for the talents who want to transfer into ESG sustainability or the carbon neutrality. I did this for almost more than 1 year, and I have a 200 talent pool. How this come from? I started by realizing that the corporate needs such kind of talents back 1 year ago, after the carbon neutrality strategy of China. But I also realized that I cannot change the corporate HR's mindset, that they can lower down their expectations for the talent acquisition. So what I did is to try to rely on my almost 16 years of my experience in corporate and consulting, that help the talents who want to transfer from the traditional, like the architecture and some traditional areas that face the downturn, to help them meet the expectations of the corporate talent acquisition. And I did already very good on this. So from the third party point of view, as in both corporate and do the service, I would like to add on the lady's point of view, that maybe you can also, you have several options. One is to choose some talents internally, or help them do select some talents to engage into some projects related to that topic. And you can pick up the good talents in that process. And if you want to hire externally, maybe I also want to add one thing, is that corporate HR leaders may also need to lower down a little bit their expectations, or broaden their view to select the talents, because some of the ones that have the high motivation maybe do not have the role or to select a good way to engage, but they have the talents and they have very high motivations or background. They just didn't have any chance to get into that. Maybe I can help you with that, or we can talk later on. Thank you.
Well, we all want your WeChat now.
Hi. Hello. Well, presentation was amazing. So thanks a lot for this. My name is David. I'm in China for 20 years and I'm a CSG, ESG expert. I've been working 14 years for Veolia as financial director and performance operations director. So I have a bright global view, and I have implemented the Paris. I was part of the discussion for the Paris Agreement. I've worked on this as well. And then I also work for Aden, a few years as CFO and performance manager. So I have some insight to share. Basically, from my knowledge, working for more than 14 years on ESG, most of companies already have a lot of points to share. They don't know, but they already do it. So they have many people who are already capable inside their structure because they're doing this without knowing that each time they have foundation, each time they put money for example, the butterfly association. Well, you can report this. It will give you a better ranking. So you need to first be grounded and think and make a workshop together with your team to say, what are we doing currently for 10 years, 20 years, 5 years? Is it related to efficiency, to CSR? So you need to define first what it is, to have a global view of ESG, CSR, and then you will found that you already spent 10 years working on this and you never reported it. So first thing is, internally you already know and you're already doing, but nobody rank it, nobody take the lead to report it. And so it's the first step. Second, because I'm financial manager, I have noticed that sometimes you want to be more green. And so you will change your supplier because they are not good. And you do EcoVadis, and you find that some suppliers are using kids or are in area where you should not be. So you need to remove them. So it's the easy way. You sort, you clean. But it means that, and that's the weakness of the system. The weakness, now they rank you knowing what are you doing and what is the current situation right now. They don't give you any additional point when you improve. They just focus on the current status. Point three, what is more important and what is important to my eye as an expert is to say, we need to improve the situation. If your supplier is not good or your HV is not efficient, don't need to remove the supplier, stop the business with that partner because they are not good. You need to change the mind. You need to work on it to say, I want to be better, to do better with my partner, my existing partner. They are not good. I will push them to be better. And so this is very important. This is the third pillar, and this is totally unrated because in the current system, you just want to know what is good or what is not good, and you rank this. There's nothing in the ranking that show you what is the improvement from point A to point B. It's not yet in the
Actually, in a lot of the ESG ratings from the financial side, you get points for your plan, which is interesting because ExxonMobil, like, you know, the oil company, they have higher ESG ratings than Tesla because Elon Musk doesn't like the ESG ratings. So he doesn't make a plan for how to become carbon neutral for like the company. So it's crazy, right? So you do actually get points if you have a plan on paper in the ratings.
No, you can have the plan on paper, but in the rating, they don't see what is the evolution from point A to B.
Right. But
and that's the weakness. And we will never go anywhere as long as we don't give any bonus to the improvement of the situation. Tomorrow, I do the ranking today. I have a supplier that is not good. I kill him. I remove it. Next year, my ranking is better. But he's still not good. He's not my supplier anymore. But I didn't improve the situation. I improved my balance sheet, my off-balance sheet requirement. So I improved my ranking. So what is important, and this is the most important point that I want to share with you today, is we have to work on improvement. So we need to find the talent and people who are able to say, okay, we need to change the situation. It's not to assess what we have and remove what is not good to improve our own ranking. We need to clean. We need to improve the situation, work together with the supplier. And so what is important is not only talent acquisition in order to be able to see how we are today, is talent acquisition to say how we can improve ourselves. And for me, it's the key point. Find what we already did in the past and work on how we can make it better with the current supplier, because it will raise everybody up. Everybody will benefit from this. If we just kill them, nobody will care about them and they will still be bad. So this is,
and I think that's where the science-based targets is an excellent example of a framework which focuses on improvement. So that's where you calculate your baseline, you look at your suppliers and what they are emitting, and then you set the target for improvement. And that's that 1.5% the global goal. So the science-based target is, and I think that's also because of this, they realized, we need to have better, really good tools. But it's a very extensive process. But yeah, that's focused on the improvement. Yeah.
And regarding the improvement, actually, we improve by ourselves, but also we make improvement with our stakeholders, just like a TFS program I just introduced, Together for Sustainability. It's facing to our suppliers, because especially, in China, and a lot of suppliers, a lot of companies, they have more and more sense of ESG. And they look at maybe 10 or 20 years, only very few companies disclose the sustainability report. However, today, I don't know in total how many, but anyway, even in the stock market in China, it's some kind of, pushed by the government to disclose ESG report. And so same for our suppliers. They are going to make the improvement together with us, just through Together of Sustainability. We are trying to do improvement through the entire value chain, not ourselves only.
Like an example I have from a textile company, they realized if they just ask the supplier, we need you to be more energy efficient and have new machinery and invest in solar, like the PV panels. And if you don't also then engage either in signing a long-term contract or helping them with the financing, they risk that they do all these investments and then you say, oh, I found another supplier, bye-bye. Right. So that's also this mindset of change. You have to also then be willing, for instance, to say, okay, I will sign a 5-year contract with you if you put those solar panels on the roof. Right. And then it's a win-win. So one cannot expect the suppliers to, how to change if they're just always in the risk of losing you next year anyway.
Well, thank you to both of you, and thank you to the participants for all this very interesting sharing. May we suggest to continue with a drink and make a little bit of move. And so before that, a big round of applause to our two speakers, Daria and Evan. Thank you very much.